everyone. Welcome to this week's Indie Artist Music Hustle with Blind Intelligence. I'm your host, Miss Ronnie, where I always seek to give you exquisite cranial repertoire. And before we get started, I need for you to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And please do not forget to comment. Now, this week we have a very special guest. We have Most Steph. Say hello to everyone.
What's happening, Music Hustle?
How you doing? What we're going to do is let you take over and tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, my stage name is Most Steph. Born and raised in Mount Vernon, New York. Shout out to Mount Vernon, New York. Located here in the Midwest now in the state of Missouri. I've been doing music for about 5 or 6 years now. Got a few albums out, 2 kids, a wife. Just trying to spread the gospel through hip hop. So that's my story.
Okay. So you say you've been an artist for 5 or 6 years. Is that professionally, or you just decided to get into music, or did you always have a background in music?
Well, I've always had a background in music. My father is a guitarist, so I've been around music my whole life. Actually, a few years ago, a friend of mine, his stage name is Victorious Reg. He asked me to be a feature on one of his songs. So he's like, all right, um, I wrote something. I just want you to go in the booth and spit it. So I went in the booth. I did the verse, but it didn't feel right. It didn't sit right. So I was like, you know what? I just need to start writing my own stuff. So since then, he kind of lit the fire in me a little bit, and I've been kind of hit the ground running ever since. So.
Okay. So, what made you, since you always been around music and your dad was a guitarist, what made the difference 5 or 6 years ago?
Really, the difference was being in the booth and actually performing some music. Um, that really was the catalyst to kind of get me to start writing. I've always kind of messed around, you know. I'm a child of the '80s, so growing up, hip hop was just all around, especially in New York. So I've always dibbled and dabbled, but being in the actual booth and putting a headset on, and that really lit the fire in me to go ahead and start doing it on a professional level.
Okay. With you being from New York, and everyone knows that New York has a distinct style, a distinct sound. How did you marry it with the Midwestern sound, or do you think that you just brought New York to the Midwest?
I think it's more of a marriage of styles. I'm New York through and through, so I'm focused on beats and lyrics, and I focus on content. So that's really the basis of my style. But I feel like too, the more laid back Midwestern styles kind of seeped in a little bit in what I do to try to make a unique sound.
Okay. So tell me about this latest project and how did you seep all those sounds in?
So I found that I'm different. And when I put a song together, I come up with a concept, then I look for the beat, and then I write the song. So putting this project together, I titled it No Judgment, because really in the church, which is where I do Christian hip hop. So I wanted to really put the message out there that there's no judgment when it comes to me, or really when it comes to the gospel. I'm here to spread the word. I'm here to be an encouragement. I'm not here to judge or down anyone. And I'm not one that was in the trap, selling drugs, or I don't have that message of being a failed drug dealer and turning my life around. I'm here in the Midwest because, and the city I live in is where I went to college, so I have a completely different take and look on things. So I just wanted to put that whole no judgment, come as you are feel into the music and into this project. So
It's good in the hood.
it's good in the hood. I wanted to bang on the block still.
Okay. So tell me, because I ask everybody this, you learn new skills, you learn new things about the business, you learn about your fan base, who's really in your corner, all those things. How have you used all those things that you have learned between what you said, 3 albums?
Hmm.
How have you learned from the first to the third?
Really, what I've learned is stay busy. Um, Stay busy, stay vocal, stay in the eyes of the public, continue to push things. When my first album came out, it was more like I just felt accomplished, like, hey, I got an album out and everyone's going to listen and it's going to be great. And that's not the way it goes. You put an album out and, there's 70,000 albums out on the same day and
Too big,
70,000. What's that?
too big.
Yeah. So I've learned to just be humble, uh, stay focused, and stay in the public eye. Keep pushing the music, keep pushing the music, keep pushing the music.
Okay. Well, you've been in Christian hip hop. Of course, you know that I would say the it's wide open, but I would say the listeners for it is smaller than the regular hip hop. What makes you keep going and not cross over?
It's just my faith. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ, the life, death, and resurrection. So it keeps me going, and in that regard. And really, uh, it gets difficult at times, because it's just the whole. Um, it's definitely a niche market. So how do you break in? There's just a few stars in the market, but I just have to remember to keep pushing, keep putting my music out, the music that He gives me, and remember to stay focused and humble. So
Okay. I can relate to that because how I feel is just how I feel. That when Jesus was on earth, there wasn't a lot of people who followed him. They didn't, I would say, appreciate the greatness until afterwards. So I feel like that if we're doing great works, and especially if we're putting God first, sometimes God had us in plain sight. And when it happens, it happens. So that's the way that I look at it. I don't ever compare myself to anybody else or how many people doing this on this day or anything. I just like, all right, God bless it. Let's go. So it's all in his time. And so I understand where you're coming from in that aspect. Now I'm going to ask you about how did the pandemic affect your music?
wow. Uh, so the pandemic really put a damper on things. If I'm being 100% honest, especially as a smaller local artist, really it's word of mouth. It's conventions for a Christian hip hop artist. It's word of mouth. It's conventions. It's youth and teen events. So not being able to gather really put a damper on things, and so it really slowed things down a lot. And so I went from feeling like I had some momentum, was moving forward, and was growing to basically a standstill. So I feel like the pandemic really put a damper on the growth of the music being out there.
How did you navigate that?
Just continuing to post, continuing to really put out little snippets, and um, they weren't freestyles, they were written, but just putting out little posts and things, because a lot of social media really picked up during that time. So a lot of
That's
people were
the
really.
question that I was going to ask you. Did you think social media was a lifeline for musicians during the pandemic? Do you think that musicians and artists used it more during the pandemic than any other time? I mean, it's always important, but I mean, because like the versus battle grew from that, live streams, artists even performing on Twitch live. I mean, do you think that it was a necessity at the time? Was there any other way that it could have been navigated?
No, I think it was a necessity, and I think it wasn't the way. It was the only way, because you couldn't do anything. You couldn't do any concerts. You couldn't. So you had to do things virtually. You had to do posts, and even YouTube really helped a lot in driving people towards YouTube and the channels. But social media really was the lifeline
I think
during the
YouTube,
pandemic.
I think YouTube kept the audience.
Yeah, YouTube really it drew people in because you had a lot of people home, not working, checking their feeds, checking their timelines, and then scrolling through YouTube. So
Hmm. Okay. Well, tell me this then. With social media being a necessity, then, do you think that the pandemic has made social media like still the major platform? Because I know, even being in hip hop and being in gospel hip hop, you still have to know about other artists if you like something that they do or whatever. And one of the things that Boosie was complaining about was that when his Instagram got shut down, and he was like, "That's how I feed my kids."
hmm
So, do you think that with the pandemic, that celebrities have become more dependent on making money off of social media?
yeah, I think the strength of being an independent artist really goes to your comment, and I do have another source of income, and I do have another way in order to support and feed my family. Now, take this um, as it is. This is not a hobby for me. This is something that I enjoy to do and I take very serious. But I also do have a primary job that I do. So I do feel like social media and when things shut down really put a dent and a damper on celebrities that had no other source or stream of income. It also highlighted the fact of financial management. Um, in my 9 to 5, I actually work for a nonprofit, and we do drug and alcohol counseling, life skills, and part of that is financial management. We teach that skill to middle school kids, high school kids, and then adults. So I think it really highlighted that lack of skill in that area being financial management.
I just did a episode with a couple of guys that was in the entertainment industry. One was in radio and the other producing. And we did a show on parenting while in the entertainment industry. So
Wow.
tell me, how do you manage to still be that role model for your child and be in your child's life and not just monetary, being in the entertainment industry?
Well, I have a family in a unit. It's me and my wife, and we have 2 children, and I don't have any children outside of my marriage. So um, it makes it easier in that regard because it's me, my wife, and my 2 children. And actually, my wife just released her first single. She's been writing music for a while, so she just released her first single. So when we go to the studio, we go as a family and as a unit. When there's a show that Daddy has to do, we all go. So incorporating my kids, it really makes it fun for the whole family, and it kind of brought my wife out of her shell to actually go record one of the songs that she's written and release it.
So when you say your family goes with you, I remember during revival time, you would have to go, and it's like these preachers would come from out of town, and they didn't care if they preached all night long. And with you being the son of a musician, you know that the musicians have to stay there until it's over with. How do you think that affects your parenting and having to perform during times like that?
So I also play keys.
Or do you just let the wife sneak out early?
Well, I play keys at our church, and my wife is on the praise team. So
Okay.
we kind of can't sneak out. Uh, but we have 2 great kids. They kind of sit and hang out, and we take turns. Um, maybe I'll sneak out and take the kids and go home if it gets too late, or vice versa. The one thing we don't want to do is let our kids get burnt out and be like, "Oh, church, I gotta, we gotta go again." So we try to make it where we rotate and get them home, and let them watch their TV and their YouTube and Hulu and all that, so that it's still an enjoyable experience for them to go to church, and they want to be there, but still get home at a decent hour to not feel like it's taken all day.
Okay. So I'm going to ask your opinion on this. What was your take on the response to Kirk Franklin's um, phone call with his son?
You talk about the band comment. uh,
When he said, Nella!
yeah. Nobody's perfect, and we all
No.
have moments. We all have moments where we fall short, and we all have our own weaknesses. And I feel like any communication, I felt like that was a communication between him and his family, and right, wrong, or indifferent. I felt like that should have been private, but I think his response to it was perfect in being just that, saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm not perfect, and I fall short, and I'm
I think
human."
that people really judged that. I think that people was really surprised because as a parent, I don't know how old your children are, but as a parent, when kids are growing up, they're trying to get snappy with you and want your help, and then don't want to listen to what you got to say, and be trying to talk out the side of the neck and everything. You have who you talking to? Give me break it down for you. Let me show you how it's done. So I understood that. I think that it was just more of a surprise. But then after seeing some other, of course, we're all not perfect because I watched Lord Jesus, watched a live that, what's her name? Leandria, the singer, the gospel singer. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Oh, you're looking at me because I said shit. You say shit too. And I was like, oh my God. Then it was like right after that, Kelly Price was on because she was mad at the promoter and she was cussing too. And she was like, save folks cuss. So, do you feel like save folks cuss?
I feel like
And if
everyone
you
has.
don't answer that, you can say I'm gonna pass on that question.
Oh no, I mean I don't have an issue. I think everyone processes things different, and we don't understand people's pressures and things that they're under. I mean, it's different when you go to work and you make $600 a week. And it's different when you're an artist and you're making thousands, hundreds of thousands of millions. The pressure is different. So, I mean, I don't understand it because I'm not in that position, but I don't look down on them. Everyone has their own ways of processing, and I hope they ask for God forgive them and they working on it, and that's all I can say.
But I compare it to another response of being disappointed about something. Trivet came on. He was upset about something. And he came on and he was like, I'm not going to be ungrateful. He said, the Lord done blessed me. He didn't curse. He didn't go to the left. He was like, I guess I'm just venting because I'm disappointed, but I have a lot to be thankful for. I'm blessed. I'm this, I'm that. And it's like his response was totally different from everybody else's. So do you think, and I know we're never to judge, that even in gospel music, people show their different levels to their relationships with God?
I think so. I think so, and everyone's not on the same level. I look at it like when I first got saved, I first gave my life to Jesus Christ. I listened to a lot of Lecrae. And he was the one who kind of brought me in and let me know, like, hey, I can be saved, I can be cool, I can still listen to the type of music that I'm accustomed to. But now I've been saved for 15 years now. Uh, I don't listen to Lecrae anymore. I listen to gospel choirs and the Walls, and I mean, I listen to uh, different types of music, which I know is weird because now I do Christian hip hop. But I don't listen to Christian hip hop at all. I listen to gospel music.
Okay, so I want you to elaborate on what is saved.
To me, saved, I gave my life over to Jesus Christ. I believe that He lived, died, and rose again. And when He comes back, that I'll go to meet Him and I'll go to see Him. So I've dedicated my life to Christ wholly. Does that mean that I walk directly in His footsteps every minute of every day? No, it does not, because I am human and I'm imperfect. But I strive to do that. And I think that's really what being saved is about, giving your life to Jesus Christ and striving to live a life that's pleasing to Him as best you can.
So, what's the name of your latest album?
No judgment.
Why should we go get it?
You should go get it because it's that fire. No, you should go get it. It's uplifting hip hop. If you like lyrics, you like beats. It's got everything you want on it. It's got some encouraging. I got a song on there called SOS, Save Our Souls. It's a song. I was a troubled kid growing up. I got kicked out of school a lot. I got suspended. I got expelled. So that song, Save Our Souls, is kind of a first person account of trouble you. Every kid in trouble, you're dealing with the heart of a troubled kid at the same time. So every kid that's, oh, well, we need to take Johnny out of class because he's acting up. Well, maybe Johnny hasn't ate in 2 days and his mama's a crackhead, and maybe Johnny needs some social services and not to just be kicked out of school. Maybe that's the only place Johnny gets 2 meals, breakfast and lunch. So you kicking him out of school is really not helping him.
Another hardship is not helping. It's hindering in another area.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I thank you for coming. I want you to tell everybody your social media handle. Of course, you just told everybody your album, but tell them again where you can find it at. And of course, any live show performances you got coming up, anything about Most Steph.
Well, the new album out right now. It's called No Judgment. Twitter handle, IG, Facebook, all that is at mos.stef15. That's at most.steph15. Don't have anything lined up really for any live shows right now, but working on that. I'm available. Reach out to me on email, Stefan, STEFAN .Jackson, JACKSON 15 @gmail.com. I'm available for booking.
All right. Y'all heard him? No, we didn't hear him. And where you can find your album at?
You can find an album on any digital platform: iTunes, Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, YouTube, any digital platform.
All right. I heard him. You can find him on all digital platforms. I wanted him to say it. You can find us on all podcasting platforms. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook. And when I get around to doing everything through StreamYard, it'll be on Twitch. We'll see you next week. Bye.
All right.